Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the head of state chaired the 8th sessions of the councils of ministers at the presidency. For the international scene, the reopening of negotiations for the first time at an even women's delegation is expected. Welcome to our newsroom. It was with an emotion filled with sadness that we witnessed live the fires that occurred yesterday, April 15, 2019, at the Notre Dame Cathedral, the most famous French monument since the years in 1902. Which is also a legacy commons as a classified World Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO. We are convinced that the solidarity expressed by the international and national community, as well as the French genius, will be able to renovate and restore this heritage in all its splendors. The government and the peoples of Djibouti express through me the solidarity to the friendly French people facing this tragedy in this sacred period that present Holy Weekends Lent for all the Christians of the world. In reiterating our deepest sympathy, I ask you to accept sirs, the expressions of my highest considerations. The Council of Ministers held today, Tuesday, 16th April 2019, 8th sessions under the leadership of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh. The ministers discussed several legal projects on the agenda for the 8th sessions of this year. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, spokespersons of the government, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, highlighted the main point of this meeting. Listen to the report.
Rahim, sous la présidence du chef de l'État, Son Excellence M. Ismail Omar Guelleh, s'est tenue la 8e séance du Conseil des ministres en ce mardi 16 avril 2019.
The Council of Ministers held today, Tuesday, 16 April 2019, 80th session under the leadership of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh. The ministers discussed several legal projects on the agenda for the 8th session of this year. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, highlighted the main points of this meeting. For the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the first question related to a draft decree on the organization, functioning, missions, and attribution of the General Inspectorate of National Education. The purpose of the draft decree is to determine the organization, functioning, missions, and attribution of the General Inspectorate of National Education. The body of the Inspectorate has grown in size by their effective presence in the various fields of instruction, the provision of experienced staff with a good knowledge of the national education system and pedagogical expertise in innovation vector of learning methods is required. The purpose of the decree is to provide the Department of National Education and Vocational Training of the necessary tools to consolidate educational policy achievements and to reinforce the quality of the education in general. It will enable this inspectorate body to fully fulfill its missions of contributing to the development of any efficient and effective educational policy and the definition of a standardized framework of educational action. Second question. Draft decree repealing decree number 95/0055 PREN of 27 May 1995 and creating the professional baccalaureate. Third question. Draft decree establishing the certificate of professional aptitude. Fourth question. Draft decree creating the certificate of vocational training defining the condition of access and delivery. The Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training presented to the Council of Ministers 3 draft texts. The Department of National Education and Vocational Training has set itself the goal of setting up a national system of technical and professional education that meets the needs of businesses in terms of skills and the expectation of young people in terms of many initiatives have been undertaken, in particular the reform of technical and professional education, the carrying out of studies and analysis of the labor market. To do this, all the programs as well as the evaluation procedures were drafted and implemented. It is in this context that is planned the establishment of the new vocational baccalaureate, the creation of the certificate of professional aptitude, and the creation of the certificate of vocational training. The three current draft decrees are intended to set the condition for obtaining, organizing the test of the regulation for these new diplomas. The aim of these new courses is to ensure a better training employment match and to meet the needs of the labor market.
The Minister of Muslim Affairs, Culture and Welfare Property, His Excellency Momin Hassan Barry, in this sense, undertook the launching of the process of elaboration of the National Cultural Policy on January 24, 2019, with the support of UNESCO. Cultural towers took place in the regions of Dakhil in order to endow the Republic of Djibouti with a real policy based on the national culture. As part of this process of elaborations of the national cultural policy, the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Cultures and Property Waqf, accompanied by the Directorate of Culture and cultural expert Mr. Idris Musa Ahmed, surrendered in Dakhil on the day of Sunday, April 14, 2019. On this occasion, the Minister met with over 100 people composed of cultural actors, intellectuals, artists, elders, women, youth, and representatives of civil society in the region of Unit. In his address, the Minister of Culture, Momin Hassan Barre, explained the purpose of this approach, which is to raise the awareness of the populations of Dakhil on culture, so as to encourage them their active participation in the reflections on the national cultural policy, to collect their opinions and the proposal for cultural development in the regions. The Minister of Labour in charge of administration's reform, His Excellency Hassan Idris Samriye, at the head of a three-party delegation, is currently taking part in the 46th sessions of the Arab Labour Conference, which begins its work since April 14th at Cairo, under the patronage of His Excellency Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, President of the Arab Republic of Egypt. The conference brought together, among others, the Ministers of Labour, members of delegations of employers, organizations, and workers of the General Secretariat of the League of Arab States, and representatives of Arab and international organizations. In addition to the questions automatically included in the agenda, other topics were discussed during these sessions, namely, on the sidelines of the conference, the Minister of Labour in charge of the administration reform, Hassan Idris Samriye, had an interview with the Director General of the Arab Labour Organizations, Mr. Faiz Al-Muta'iri. The ministers at first congratulated the Director General for his re-election. Then the Minister and the Director General discussed topics on common interest, namely the strengthening of technical assistance in the field of human resources. Finally, the Director General of the organization expressed the wish for a walking visit to Djibouti. The Djibouti Minister of Labour has welcomed the future openings of the Director General of the OAT, which demonstrate the strengthening of the cooperation between the OAT and the Republic of Djibouti. Also, in the context of the promotions of the fun activities for women through the Center's Community Development Initiative, initiated by the management of the CDC, the sport complex of the city Nasib was yesterday, Monday's afternoon, a high places convergence for dozens of young people, girls who were static in panels of choice of games. And this with the provisions of playground and playful material unique of their kind, worthy of an amusement park. The event took place in an atmosphere in the presence of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Hassan Mohamed Kamil, surrounded by his family collaborators. In this case, Mr. Abdullahi Hassan, technical advisors and director of the Sport Trainers Institute, Ms. Horatio Ali Geddi, certainly beyond its purely playful and below the policy of the equality, these kinds of initiative for young people, girls probably respond to the strategy of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, for runners of the Unifying Society project. The meeting room of the State Secretariat for Youth and Sport housed yesterday afternoons in the afternoons are meetings of information and consultations on the next youth forums run by the Secretary for State for Youth and Sport in partnership with UNICEF, MENFOP, the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, and in addition to the presence of Ms. Janabou Maounde of UNICEF, the Director of Youth, Ms. Kaltoun Igi Hussein, the Director of National Institute of Sport Training, Mr. Said Ali Hussein, the coordinators of the United Nations systems, Ms. Barbara Manzi, also attend these information meetings. The Secretary of State Executive and officials discuss ways and means of successfully organizing the future International Youth Forum scheduled for June. After being informed about the main objective of the forums and having validated the relevance of the theme of the Sustainable Development Team, the coordinators, Barbara Menzi, declared herself fully available to help bring these forums to a close, highly symbolic dimensions. The conference room of the RTD hosted this morning a ceremony marking the closing of the cultural contest of Quranic canals of the radio and the awarding ceremony to the laureate of the last 3 editions of the contest, which attracted many young people during the last 7 years. Attending the ceremony, the acting general director is Mrs. Suad Farah Adawish, the Sheikh Ahmed Abdi Waliye, the head of Quranic radio canals and director of the regional offices of the NGO WAMI in Djibouti, sponsors Mr. Maysara Muhammad Saif, cultural competitions. During the event, officials presented prizes and awards to the first winners of the competition, including the last 3 editions. The first laureate received different awards, namely tablet and rest watches. The head of the Quranic canals of the radio, Sheikh Ahmed Abdi, insisted in a brief speech on the importance of these cultural competitions to improve the knowledge of the young people, in particular the students in the religious file. He expressed his thanks and the gratitude to the acting director of the RTD, Ms. Suad Farah Adawi, for her participation in the closing ceremony of the contest and sound support. Great positive and continuous orientation of the radio at the levels of the Quranic chain. The Sheikh Ahmed Abdi Wali also took the opportunity to thank the offices of the non-governmental organizations WAMI in Djibouti for sponsoring this cultural contest for 7 years. As part of the partnership between the Republican Guard and the French forces stationed in Djibouti, a parachute patent award ceremony was organized today, Tuesday, April 16, 2019, to 30 trainees on the CMA of the Republican Guard. This ceremony was held in the compound of the French forces stationed in Djibouti, and Colonel Mohamed Jama' Douale, commanders of the Republican Guard, was present alongside the Air Division's General Eric Guernes, commanders of FFDG, These patents awards sanctions the successful completion of the airborne task force training that ran from March 31 to April 11, 2019. The CMA trainings of the Republic Vanguard conducted a first phase of physical fitness tests consisting of pull-ups and push-up, the leg curls, abdominals, rope climbing, running, and walking times with an 11 kilograms bag on the back. After the physical fitness checkup, the parachute aspirants went through a ground technical training phase at the 5th and the airbase is 188 for the first time, and especially in the large numbers, 6 female members of the Republican Guard managed to get the parachute military patent. For his part, Air Division General Eric Gernes, commanders of FFDG, said that they were very honored to have been able to lead these cooperative actions. He congratulated all the young paratroopers, including the first 6 women of the Republican Guard to hold a French paratrooper certificate. It is a very great pride, and to conclude, he said they are now worthy representative of Franco-Djiboutian's interoperability. On the other hand, Air Division General Eric Gernes, commanders of the FDG, stressed that skydiving is a particularly demanding military discipline requiring everyone to be in good physical and moral health with the absolute disciplines and rigor. In his speech, Colonel Mohammed Jama Al-Duali, commanders of the Republican Guard, welcomes the eloquent results achieved by the trainees at the end of this training, which he could not doubt in view of their physical capacity acquired through their CME internship, but also their deep motivations. Colonel Mohammed Duali said the activity that has just ended took 2 weeks, including a first phase of putting in essential physical condition called ground training, and a second phase of 6 jump in parachute required to obtain the parachute certificate, he concluded. The General Directors of the National Agency of Disabled People, Mr. Duali Saeed Mahamoud, is pleased to welcome this morning, April 4th, in the premises of the coordinations of the UN system is Ms. Barbara Manzi. The General Directors of the NPH and the coordinators exchanged on several topics to promote disabled people in the inclusions of public and private sectors, education, health, and professional integration, and other areas of daily life. As a result, the 2 parties agreed to make a matrix outlining the agency's priorities in terms of programs, projects, an intervention tracks that could be broken down into the cooperation roadmap for the years to come. The two sides also agreed to strengthen advocacy with government institutions, the general public, and organized bodies, namely civil society and private sectors. We have wanted posters since almost 3 days. 7-year-old girls, Bilan Abdullahi Umar's no more returns to her home, located in the district of Al-Hiba. Her mother is Feroz Abdu Yusuf. At the moment of her disappearance, she was at brown dresses. If you were to see Bilan Abdullahi Umar, and if you know the location it is currently, please contact by the calling numbers of its close of neighborhood 277 124953. We have ordered wanted posters for almost 3 days. A 9-year-old girl named Husseina Muhammad Noor has not returned to home to the district of Al-Hiba. Her mother is Gumati Akadoris. If you have seen Husseina Muhammad Noor, and if you know the places where it is, please contact calling the numbers of its close collaborators on call to these numbers 77 124953. We have also obituary release. We regret to announce the death of Musa Abdul Qadir's occurred Saturday night at Dakhil region after a long illness. The deceased Musa Abdul Qadir was a customs officer between 1971 and 2030. Until his retirement, he leaves behind him a large family, including a widow and 8 small children. In these painful circumstances, the prefect of Dakhil, Mr. Muhammad Sheikh Hassan, addresses his most condolences saddened to his family of the deceased, and as well as his family and friends. He said, we pray God to host him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, African Union has threatened Mondays to suspend Sudan from the Continental Organizations of Army. Listen to this report.
In a statement, the AU Peace and Security Council demands that the Sudanese army withdraw and hand over power to the civilian political authority within 15 days maximum. If not, some AU protocols will be put in place, including the suspension of Sudanese participation in all AU activities until constitutional order is restored. The SPC firmly condemns and totally rejects the takeover by the Sudanese army, as well as its intention to carry out a 2-year transition period, and argues that a transition led by the military will be completely contrary to the aspiration of the people, Sudan.
French President Emmanuel Macron said we have to rebuild the cathedrals of Notre Dame de Paris after the fires took place on Paris. Listen to this report.
Since Monday evening, the donation, sometimes the families Pinol, Arnold, and Bedancourt alone have released €500 million. Many communities, businesses, and even in Ivorian King have announced that they will participate in the reconstruction effort. A mobilization at the height of emotion after the fire that devastated yesterday Notre Dame de Paris. French and international solidarity is organized to finance the reconstruction of the multi-secular building, a task that promises to be colossal in terms of damage. The President of the Republic, Emmanuel Macron, said yesterday Monday evening that a national subscription will be launched and that well beyond our borders will appeal to the greatest talents who will come there contribute, and we will rebuild. Restoring the building will take years of work, said the new president of the Conference of Bishops of France, Eric Moulin-Beaufort.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.